Hi sewing friends, this is Janae King and welcome to month number 9 of Cabin by the Lake at Whitlock Sewing and Vac in Salem, Oregon. And really quick, I just want to go over what you should have received in your kit this month. And the first thing that you should have received would be, sorry, those are my notes, your pattern for the leaves, and you also should have a sheet in your kit that is how to sew the rest of your blocks together to form the second half of the quilt. You also will receive a handout that I made up for you, and it talks about all the fabrics and the prints so that you will be able to keep them straight as far as how you're putting the leaf blocks together. So when you open up your kit, you should find 3 fabrics. They're going to be kind of a yellow gold fabric, and they are going to be your background fabric. So you should have 3 of these, 3 different prints. You will also have a big stack of orange fabrics, and those are all going to be your leaf fabrics. There should be 9, and if you notice on your pattern, it says that these pieces should be, and I'm going to double check, 7 by 8. I've actually cut these 7 by 9 for you because I felt like it needed to be just a little bit bigger than what is stated in the pattern. So you should be able to get everything you need from these pieces for each of your leaf blocks. So on the handout that I gave you for this month, it has a diagram down below, and up here what it does is it pairs the background fabrics with which color orange you're going to be using for that particular leaf that you're making. So I can see, and the first one says plaid background. You're going to pair it with the Rust Batik, the light orange with leaves, and the solid pumpkin, which is not a batik. So if you look through your stack of orange fabrics, you should be able to kind of use a process of elimination and figure out which ones are which by the diagram that I gave you. Also in your kit, you will find a stack of green fabrics, and they're all going to be folded together, and you're going to want to open them up. So these fabrics are actually going to be stated on the handout in the same order that I've put them into your kit. So if you look on the handout that I gave you, the first one says for filler fabrics and an X, you should have a light green fabric with tiny dots, which is the first fabric in your kit. So hopefully those are explanatory in your in the handout that I gave you. The other clue of being able to figure out which green goes with which is I've stated what size of piece they should be. So so that should also give you a clue on which one is which for your filler fabrics. So I want to state right off the bat that you know, if you are putting together your leaf blocks and you accidentally put one of the oranges together with not the right background, it's gonna be okay. I promise you. In the big picture of your quilt, nobody is going to know that those fabrics weren't put together the way that I had put them together in my quilt. So I want to give you the freedom to be able to mix and match the backgrounds with the orange leaf fabrics in any way you see fit. So you may not like the way that I set them up, and that's okay. And so if you decide that you want to put a different orange with a different background, then definitely go ahead and do that. So what I've done is beside each orange fabric on your handout, I've placed a number beside it. The number corresponds with the diagram down below. So that will tell you where to put those fabrics into your quilt. So hopefully it's explained well and you can figure it out on your own. So what I did is I stitched the whole entire bottom of the quilt together, and then I was able to just sew the two halves together. So what you'll want to do for this month, as well as make the leaf blocks, is you will want to put the whole entire top together. And this diagram here is the diagram that shows which sections you'll be sewing together first. And you can see that by looking at the solid lines on the pattern. Those are the sections that get sewn together first. So once you've sewn those sections together, then you will sew that section to another section and keep adding on until the whole bottom portion of the quilt is sewn together. And then it's going to just be one easy seam across the middle to sew the two halves together. Then next month we will be working on doing the borders, and then the whole top of your quilt will be finished. So I want to make sure that everybody got the message that we will not be meeting in January, but we will meet for our very last class on February 2nd. At 10 a.m. Because of the holidays and just time schedules, it just didn't work to meet in January, and I apologize for that. But we will meet in February, and I will give you the border fabric, and then you'll be able to finish up your quilt. So what I want you to do is grab out your pattern, and you will be able to see down here how the block is put together for this month. We are making the leaf blocks, and those go together so easy because it's mostly going to be just squares and half square triangles. There's also down here in the corner a stem block, and it's very easy to put together, and that's actually the only block that I'm really going to explain today how it was made, because I think by now we are experts at half square triangles. I mean, this quilt has definitely given us tons of practice on that block. And so what you'll want to do is just make those blocks, trim them down to 2.5 inches, and then set the block up exactly how the diagram shows, and sew those blocks together. So the one part that I want to show you is how to do the stem block. And I've just cut out some pieces of paper so that I could show you easily how it's put together. So you will cut a 3-inch square, and you'll cut that square corner to corner to make 2 triangles. You will then cut a piece out of your leaf fabric that is, I believe, 7/8 of an inch by 4.5 inches. And so it's just long and skinny. And so you will take your triangles that you made, and you will put them right sides together with the stem, and you'll sew a 1/4 inch down. You will press that open, and then you'll add the second triangle and press that up. One of the things that I mentioned in class that it might be kind of helpful and make your stem look a little bit better is if you actually, on the back side, press your seams in towards the stem. Sorry, it's a little bit hard with the paper to show you that. But if you press the seams in towards the dark fabric, that actually is going to make the stem look just a little bit nicer on the front side. I did it both ways to kind of test it, and it looked better if those seams were going in towards the seam, and it actually kind of made the stem pop out a little bit, and it just seemed to lay a little bit nicer, but that's totally up to you how you want to press those seams for your stem block. So once you get, now obviously this is a lot bigger than the stem block is going to be, but once you get this sewn, you will then trim it down to a 2.5 inch square. You want to make sure that the center stem is centered with the ruler so that the stem looks good and it's right in the middle. So once again, I just want to reiterate that our next class is going to be February 2nd at 10 a.m. at Whitlock's. And I so look forward to seeing you one last time before we finish up this quilt. And after that, I just want you to know that you can still find me here on YouTube, and you can still find me teaching classes, because that is what I love to do. I would love to hear suggestions of things that you might be interested in taking a class of, and just let me know, and I will see you soon.